The world shifted around him. Liang Zhen stood still, his eyes closed, breath shallow, as he took in the cold, damp air of the forest. The forest was silent now, too silent. His mind, still fragmented from his rebirth, struggled to process the encounter with the hooded figure. His words echoed in Liang Zhen's mind. "You must remember who you were. Find the pieces of the crown." His body, fragile as it was, felt the weight of the truth. The pieces of the crown of sovereignty, the power that once resided in him, bound by ancient forces, was scattered across the realms. A part of him, perhaps the more primal, yearned for this power. The power to reclaim his rightful place, to challenge the celestial decree once more. But another part of him resisted. What was the price of such power? The pain of his past, the betrayal, the unrelenting time spent in the void. It had shattered something deep within him. Would regaining that power merely return him to the same path of tyranny that had led to his downfall? A sudden gust of wind swept through the forest, rattling the branches overhead, pulling him out of his thoughts. He turned his head, a sharp instinct prompting him to move. Something was coming. His senses, though dulled by his rebirth, still hummed with an ancient awareness. Even in this weakened state, the Silent Immortal's instincts never truly left him. A rustling sound broke the silence, faint at first, then louder, more deliberate. Liang Zhen narrowed his eyes, tracking the source of the disturbance. His body was weak, but his mind was sharp. He had lived countless lives, had been broken and reborn. His past self, silent and cold, was only a shadow now, but the essence of what he had once been pulsed within him. That essence was stirring. Then, from behind a dense thicket of trees, a figure appeared. A young woman, dressed in tattered robes, her eyes wide with panic, her face streaked with dirt and blood. She was running, her footfalls desperate as she fled from something or someone pursuing her. Liang Zhen didn't hesitate. The moment he saw her, something deep within him stirred, a fleeting, primal instinct to protect. In a swift motion, he stepped from his position, his feet sinking slightly into the wet earth as he rushed forward, his body protesting the sudden movement. His mind, however, was clear. He had learned how to act in the face of danger, and this was no different. He reached the woman just as her pursuers emerged from the shadows. Two men, both tall and imposing, their eyes cold and merciless. Their robes marked them as cultivators, though they were far from the elite. But even so, they carried with them the scent of blood and violence. "Stay back!" one of them barked, his hand glowing with ethereal energy. "This woman is a criminal. She must be brought to justice." The woman stumbled back, fear evident in her eyes. "Please, I've done nothing wrong. They lied. I... Silence!" The second man growled, his aura flaring violently. "You defied the celestial court. For that, you will die." The words struck something within Liang Zhen, a distant memory, one of many. But this one felt close, almost personal. The celestial court. The same court that had imprisoned him, the same court that had made his very existence a nightmare. No. His fingers twitched as he felt something stir within him, an energy that flowed hot and sharp. For a moment, it was nothing more than a flicker, like a spark in the dark. But the spark quickly grew into something much more intense, like the flood of a rising tide. The power, once sealed, surged within his body, out of control, raw, untamed. The woman gasped as she saw him stand taller, his aura suddenly growing, swirling around him like a tempest. He didn't move, didn't speak. He simply felt the energy course through him, feeling it rise, feel the sharp sting of it against his soul. For a heartbeat, the world seemed to pause. A swirling silence filled his mind, and the power he had once wielded effortlessly began to awaken. With an almost imperceptible movement, Liang Zhen extended his hand toward the two cultivators. The earth beneath them trembled in response. The first cultivator lifted his arm, prepared to unleash an attack. But before he could speak, Liang Zhen's energy exploded outward, slamming the man backward. The second man, realizing too late that this was no ordinary mortal, lunged forward, his hands crackling with lightning. But Liang Zhen was faster. He didn't need to think. He didn't need to remember the steps. His body moved on instinct, and with a swipe of his hand, the air around him shimmered, distorting with a sharp, cutting force. The cultivator froze mid-motion, his face contorting in agony. His body was suspended in the air, caught by an invisible force. He gasped for breath, his arms flailing as if he were drowning in the air itself. The energy around him crackled, trembling under Liang Zhen's control. The woman stood frozen behind him, her eyes wide with awe and terror, as if witnessing something far beyond her comprehension. Liang Zhen released the cultivator with a flick of his wrist, sending him crashing to the ground. The man lay motionless, unable to move. The first cultivator, dazed but still conscious, staggered to his feet, eyes wide in disbelief. "Who are you?" Liang Zhen stepped forward slowly, his gaze cold, unyielding. "I am the one who has defied you before, and I will do so again." With those words, the air around him pulsed with the power of ages. His voice, low, commanding and calm, carried the weight of a forgotten empire. The cultivator's eyes widened with recognition, but before he could react, Liang Zhen extended his hand once more. A sharp gust of wind spiraled toward the man, lifting him off the ground. In one fluid motion, the cultivator was thrust backward, crashing into the trunk of a nearby tree. He crumpled to the earth, unconscious. Liang Zhen stood motionless, breathing heavily. His energy, though vast, felt foreign in his new body, like an ancient river flowing through a cracked dam, threatening to overflow. He turned to the woman who was still staring at him, a mixture of fear and gratitude on her face. "You're safe," he said, his voice softer now, though still tinged with the raw power that flowed within him. The woman stumbled forward, her breath ragged. You saved me. Why? You shouldn't have." Liang Zhen studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. "I did not save you for any reason other than that you were in danger. But you, like me, have suffered at the hands of the Celestial Court." She looked up at him with a mixture of confusion and relief, then nodded slowly. "They are everywhere. The court. Their reach. It stretches into every corner of the realms." Liang Zhen's heart tightened. The Celestial Court. They had broken him. They had broken everything he once believed in. And yet, here, now, he stood again. A second chance, but for what? For revenge? For redemption? A fire flickered within him, though he was uncertain where it would lead. "I'm not the only one they've oppressed," he said, his gaze distant. "But I will be the last." The woman's eyes widened, a flicker of something like hope crossing her face. "Are you going to fight them? Defy the Celestial Court once more?" Liang Zhen glanced at the two fallen cultivators, then turned his gaze back to her. "I have no choice.